Hello, everybody, welcome back and welcome to our last episode of this city building series for now. I think we've just reached a point in this series where there isn't anything else that I can add to make this place better, so I thought today we'll do a little last walk through this area, this whole city and its suburb and everything, before we hop onto a new series, and I'll be talking about that later. But a little bit of thinking and seeing what happened this whole time. We started at the beach here, and I remember terraforming this whole area, and we did this thing with these stalls down here, food and whatnot. And you will see that I was playing around with concepts a lot during the time, from the very blocky buildings to things that actually look nice. But this was the first time I really started building something big and actually sticking with it. So that was the bathrooms back here. And I remember that I kept thinking about how can I make this area nicer, because I thought this was such a cool opportunity to make an interesting scenic walkway. Never really got to it. Never really got to adding anything to make this very special. I mean, it's a cool scenery, tiny island, the lava and everything, but I never really got to doing anything extra with it. But that's okay, I did a lot of extra in general. This was one of our latest videos when it was really hot here in Ireland, and I was like, I need a tourist attraction and I'm gonna make a sun tower. So yeah, I figured out how to make a sphere without any mods or anything like that. That was one of those major points during this whole series, is every block here is placed by hand, and everything I'll just figure it out. I'm not using any mods, right? So that's what I was doing with this. It took me quite a while and lots of cursing with this sun tower, especially with the sphere, but I think it turned out quite nicely. And then this here went through several iterations, didn't it? The first one looked a little bit like, I don't know, a rocket ship, some sort of spaceship with a color scheme. But I think it turned out nicely in the end. And I finally finished this pier as well, adding just a bunch of boats here. And these things are candles, but I thought they looked quite nice as those things where you put the rope around, for the ships not to move away. So that's what I did there, and adding some light as well. Adding these planters, everything like that. And then here, private property. So, we did this very recently, this house here. Nice little cozy place for the lighthouse keeper. This is already later into my whole thing where I figured out things a little bit better. For example, with this entry and the shelving in the wall. Added this little fishing spot and everything like that. I thought it turned out quite nicely. And then if we move up into the city, that was the space that I first had scouted out, right? And I was like, oh, this will be so cool to have a city up here. And one of the first things that I did here was this city hall place. Maybe not city hall, but like, I don't know. The courtroom anyway, courtroom. And this was all different stones and stuff like that, and I just changed it at some point. Always wanted it to look like it's built into the mountain, and I think that succeeded, or I succeeded. This is the judge's chambers, and I was thinking about having some, meeting rooms or consultation rooms, so I did 2 of those. They're just the same one, just mirrored. And then I was like, okay, we need a meeting, like team meeting room sort of, and I did that here, even with a water fountain. And I did another one, or water cooler maybe, over here as well in the break room. So yeah, and I was always thinking, oh, maybe I'll build something further into the back here, but I never really got to it. And I wasn't really sure what to put there anyway, because at first I was thinking toilets, but why? So yeah, there's that. This is somewhat recently for this building as well. I was always thinking, oh, I want some sort of something here, maybe a statue. And I think that turned out quite nicely, actually, and this little light feature in the ceiling. And yeah, I added this little pond all of these things. And I wanted to have this cozy little hotel, which I think turned out quite nicely. I never got a good idea to put something here, but I think overall it looked really nice, apart from that corner that is kind of empty. Little, breakfast, dining area, a little book nook. I think overall it's actually as cozy as I wanted it to be. This is kind of, let's say, a presidential suite or whatever, the biggest room in the hotel for guests. And the smaller rooms here at the back. You can see here, this one is kind of roomy and spacey as well. And this one, so they're both just mirrored for the other side. So I think overall I succeeded at the cozy vibes for this build. And just going back up here, these are, by the way, moss blocks. And I did the lighting for this area also, like they're under those moss carpets. So yeah, and then I had down here, this was supposed to be a pub, but it turned out to be a clothing store. And I think it turned out quite nicely. I wanted it to have like weird modern, kind of modern vibe, but like kind of not. I don't know. I don't know how well I succeeded with this, but these are the changing rooms. And yeah, that was one of my most recent builds. And then I was thinking maybe this is a place where people just have graffiti. So that's why there are all these paintings, just thinking graffiti here basically. And this park I did like in several sessions. I did the vast majority of it in one of the episodes, and then at some point I added flowers and stuff and light and so on. So that turned out quite nicely. And this area was something like one of the first things that I built, and you can still see how blocky it all is. Like this had shulker boxes in these where it's gray carpet now. That used to be shulker boxes, but they wouldn't render when I was farther away, and it did look like this when I was farther away, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just remove the shulker boxes and I'll just put something dark gray in here. And I think it actually turned out quite cool. So I also furnished the first two buildings here just to start playing around with concepts of like individualizing those living spaces for whoever might be living here. And even these downstairs are a little bit different in each of the buildings. I never really got around to furnishing the outdoors here, but also other than just adding seating, I wasn't really sure what to put here. And these two buildings together were supposed to be one episode, but then I found that they took much longer than I thought they would. So I made it into two. So this is the little shop. And I was quite proud of how I was making the shelving and putting stuff on it and so on to make it actually look like a shop. And then in the other episode, I did this nice restaurant, and I was playing around with like different ways to make it look nice. Kitchen is downstairs here, and you can see again, like I was trying to play around with different concepts, like this hood above the cooking area and stuff like that. This area where you reach the food through, and a little storage at the back here. And I even added outdoor seating on this one. And that took me a while to actually figure out how I wanted it, and I think it turned out just fine. Let's make it day. I also was thinking at some point, okay, every big city needs corporate, because that's just what happens, right? Corporate will come to all the big cities. So I added a big office block here as well, along with a food stand, because of course office workers also need to eat. And this is what I came up with. I think it's kind of cute. I think it turned out just fine with a little eating area down here. And then obviously the inside, where I had like some sort of like canteen vibe I thought for here, and bleachers for big meetings, big corporate meetings with a little stage and a screen. And I was thinking about this thing being a microphone, but it's also a light. And as you can see, I was trying to give this some, big office vibes where they have these, I don't know, exposed pipes and stuff usually. Industrial vibes, I suppose. And I was trying to mimic that here. And here's the actual office space. I tried to make it look like people actually work here. And I added a little extra office back here, maybe a manager's office or something. And of course also a little outdoor seating area, because I was thinking maybe people go here to smoke or whatever. So that's what I did here. And of course, I never touched this village over there, by the way. I just thought it's such a nice touch to have it there and actually be able to see it as well. I was also so proud of this flower shop, and I think it looks so cute with how the lawn and the flowers are outside, and how it turned out in general on the inside. Looks nice, clean, modern. I really like the vibes here. And yeah, and then I did the market. I did a short on how to build these little market stalls. I think I was doing this one when I did the short video, but overall I made 4 of these stalls, as you can see, each one with its own little topic. And I think it turned out really, really cute. I think a lot of things, you can see that over time I got better at building, because some things are still very, very basic, like those office blocks. Oh, and what I forgot to show you were when I first started to actually experiment and I made these houses. And I'm so glad they're at the back here, because goodness, I would never build that again. But I was really trying to do something different and still trying to make each of these kind of individual. But the blocks that I chose are just not it. I don't know. But also it's part of the story of this place, I guess, of this whole city. So I kept it. But I will not do this kind of... No, that's not happening again. This here was during Pride Month, so I put up these flags. I never put them down because obviously I'm not. But yeah, we'll look at this at the end, but that was the building where I was always thinking there will be a museum or something in here. But that's not what happened, right? But let's go to Locktown first here. Between the last episode and today, I did a little bit more of, touching up the area just to make it look nice. So I added these lanterns, added a little bit of grass and trees and whatnot. This little area here in the back was something that I wanted always, a little communal space. So that's what I did here. But the first building in Locktown back here is this one. That was the very first building here, and I think it deserves a little walkthrough. So this was it. I was trying to make a log cabin that actually looks like a log cabin and not just some block. And so I made the logs stick out, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then I added some details, and I was so proud of this build. Yeah, even a little chimney, which I didn't add to any of the other houses. I think I just forgot, honestly. I was planning to, but oh well. And then I made this area, and I thought this was so cool. This is like a woodworking shop with like a woodworking area out here with the wood around. These are leaves, but I thought that they just look so cool as wood from cutting stuff. And even with the inside here, the interior, with just shelving and all this like shopping floor, let's say, all the things that you can buy that are out of wood. Of course, I did this one here at first just to try the concept of having like buildings right next to each other, and it's very small. It's just mirrored from one side to the other. You can see here just a different color, but otherwise it's the same. Here I made it more individual. Each building has like a person, I suppose, that lives in there with whatever they like, right? And I did this little area down here to just get the staircase to get down. And on this side, this was the first time I was thinking about making some sort of farm area here, and I just put a horse, a little horse stable. But this was also one of the very awkward ones where I was experimenting. So yeah, I think it's okay when we experiment that things sometimes look a little bit weird. But yeah, I was getting better. This is the last building that I did. This one here, I did that just before coming on today and recording that. And this is just using a lot of the things that I've kind of learned along the way, making this little shelving area, and finally using the bamboo, because I was like, I need to use that bamboo in a house at least once. And I think it turned out. I have a little sitting room back here as well. And the backyard is kind of a crafting, handyman's kind of area. And yeah, that is pretty much it, along with the sheep farm here. And I think it turned out quite nicely, didn't it? Locktown became very cute, in my opinion. And of course, last but not least, our subscriber count, which for a long time I was like, what am I doing with this? I wanted it to be like a museum or a gallery of sorts, something like that. But it turned out to be our subscriber count. And I just added the last few because we are up to 125. We started at, I think, somewhere around 60, 70, 68 or something like that is, I think, where we started out. And we're up to 125 in half a year. I'm very, very happy for everybody who has joined me on this big journey to at least 1K. I would like to reach one day. If I reach 1K, we will do a big celebration. But yeah, now let's talk about future plans, because I'm not done with Minecraft. The whole idea of this whole build was always that this is unmodded, right? Every block that's placed here, I did that. Everything is a click that was placed, right? But I want to make another series, and in the new series it'll be heavily modded Minecraft, so the exact opposite. It will still be every block that's placed is placed by me, so I won't use like any, copy paste mod stuff, but I will have a bunch of mods because I want to make a very modern build. So I've gotten a bunch of different mods, and once the first episode of the build comes out, then we will look at what all of these mods are. But for now, I'm gonna keep you in the dark, but I'm gonna tease it, right? But yeah, we'll make another town, not as huge in area. I think we will see, but I'm thinking about like keeping it a bit more compact, but having also everything that a build like that would need, like what a town would need, like from shops, schools, communal areas, maybe a swimming pool, some flats or houses or whatever, like all the things that you would need in a town. I want to build it in the new modded version of this. So if you have some cool ideas of what can go into the new town, do leave it in the comments. I will read every single comment, and if I can add something into the build, I will add it into the build. And I hope I will see you in the new series. And until then, have a lovely day, night, morning, noon, whatever time it is for you. And I see you next time. Bye.